Can someone please tell me what the hell is going on? Alright guys, welcome back to episode number 2 of Penn State Wireless. And to start off with some immediate reactions from Saturday's game versus FIU. Again, I was there in person, so for those of you that don't know, I do have season tickets, so I see everything. I'm there most of the game until the end, so I saw the game with my own 2 eyes, live, and whatever. You get the point. But it doesn't take being there to know that the team struggled mightily on offense. And defensively it looked really good, but offensively we're coming upon the same problems that we had last year, and hopefully it doesn't become a reoccurring theme. But as many of you guys remember, Nicky was praised at the beginning of last year, and probably still is by most of the media, as an offensive genius, and he does good play calling, and it's creative and motion, whatever, and some of the play calls do work. But today, Saturday, we really saw that it kind of can ruin and stunt the momentum and everything of the drive whenever he throws in a special play or whatever. And I think that's been one of the most overlooked reasons, because he's done it a bunch last year and this year. One of the most overlooked reasons why Penn State's red zone offense has been so bad. Many of you remember Coach Mike Yurcich. He was the offensive coordinator from 2021 to the beginning or halfway through about 2023. And many people chastised him for what he did as a coach because of how poor the offense looked under him. So he got the boot. But wouldn't you believe it, the offense had a higher points per game average under Yurcich than it does under Nicky. The yardage is a different story, but yardage doesn't mean anything if you're not scoring points. So is it possible that Nicky, the offensive genius, is somehow worse than Mike Yurcich? That's a topic for a later video, but food for thought. So, jumping in with the offense, it looked pretty flat. Drew had a little bit better of a second half, but overall, not a great game for most people. If you saw, any film breakdown from Landon Tangwall, you could kind of see the run game struggled a little bit. Blocking effort doesn't really seem there. Katron had that one big run, which made his whole stat line look good, and he had a good game otherwise too. But watching him and Nick run, especially Nick, you could kind of see that they were missing holes and not being good enough in the open field either. Again, this is more targeted at Nick because we know what he's capable of, and he doesn't seem to have that burst or agility, which is weird because it's early in the season. So you hope he's not banged up, because in the past when he was banged up, he kind of looked like this. But I don't understand how Nick could already be banged up. Drew, not great, kind of inaccurate. But on the throws he was hitting, you can still see the talents there, but you can kind of tell, becoming a recurring issue for him too, where his footwork and everything isn't always there. When he makes the good throws, the throws are on point. They're strikes. He can throw to pretty much anywhere on the field, but his deep ball is cause for concern. The one to Ross was a good throw, but I think it might actually not be entirely his problem. See, we've heard this Franklin strategy for years now, that for some reason it's better to throw it up and try and get an offensive pass interference penalty than to just straight up hit the throw, which doesn't make any sense. If you throw it up in the air, that means the defender has a better chance of getting the ball too. So that doesn't make much sense. Anyway, not particularly great game from the offense. They kind of started clicking towards the middle end of the third quarter, but just not particularly great day. Moving on to the defense, though, again, incredible. Like I said, I'm a Manny Diaz. He was my favorite coordinator that Penn State's had since I've been watching him play. So even though, Penn State starters have actually still only allowed 3 points through 2 games this season, it still feels weird not seeing a coach bring as much pressure as I would like. But it's important to talk because Chaz Coleman, freshman, granted he got some reps against backups, but Chaz Coleman was really good, and he looks to be that next good guy. He's got great size, great athleticism, and again, film breakdown. You can see it on For the Bloggies channel. Landon breaks it down. Really good instincts, and everything comes natural to him. So I think it's pretty obvious to say he's going to be the next great guy at D end. Or you hope, hopefully this isn't like a 1 week thing, and you look back at this next year and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that game he had against FIU. But yeah, I mean, even besides that, Penn State had another D tackle get an interception. So the two guys with an interception are both defensive tackles. Not a lot of turnovers for us, but that was fine because they didn't score any points. So who cares, And then, yeah, everything just looks sound defensively for the most part. Quarterback had trouble throwing, but he doesn't look like much of a thrower anyway. So just overall good performance in that aspect. Only thing was they were getting gashed a little bit by the running back, but FIU was not able to string drives together, so again, it doesn't really matter. So then the other order of business was, of course, talking about Penn State's offense, was their inability to convert on 4th down and 3rd down. I can't remember the exact number right now, but it appears that Penn State's offense was 3 of 12 on 3rd down and like 2 of 5 on 4th down. Which, if you're putting up those numbers against Ohio State, it doesn't look good. So the fact you're doing it against FIU is cause for concern. And then Franklin also talked about that block kick that Barker had that was offensive lineman error, but at the end of the day, it still kind of comes down to coaching, but he said that it's not something they do in practice, so I'll take his word for it. At the end of the day, 3 points isn't going to make a big difference. And then shout out to Dom DeLuca for getting punt block. Dude's just everywhere, and he's a good, high-effort, hustle player. Guys love him, so that's always something good to have in the locker room. But, yeah, so going on to next week, I'm going to be a little bit more safe with my predictions versus Villanova because, honestly, I'm not quite sure how the game's going to go. If it was after week 1 where there was the little bit of errors going into Villanova, I'd still say Penn State by 50 points or whatever. But I don't know this week. I think they'll still play well, so I'm going to take Penn State by about 40 points. But very concerning for me at least. But just, hopefully they'll bounce back. I mean, if this team struggles again, it's going to speak to the mental toughness of a team. They're given national championship aspirations again. And so many people saying this is finally the year and Franklin's going to get these guys together, which, come on, we all knew he wasn't really going to do it. But, it's the same thing every year. But for some reason, this was the year that people were picking. College football has never been weaker. It's more open. Ohio State's got a young quarterback who did look good against Grambling State. But this has to be cleaned up. We got to come out, and if we don't beat Villanova by 45 or something like that, it's going to be a concerning game. If we can't come out and flat out dominate the line of scrimmage and run the ball, which is something we had no problem doing against almost anybody last year, and can't even throw the ball down the field, not going to be a good game. And not going to be good inside the Penn State community. I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy about it. So, yeah, just something to keep your eyes peeled for. And, yeah, subscribe, like the video if you didn't like the video. And I will catch you next week with the Villanova reaction.